Hello friends, Ron Nate here, president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, with the first in a new segment that I'll be doing from here on out. It's called Ron's Wednesday Windup. And what it is just basically a few minutes every Wednesday to wind up what happened in the past week, to also wind you up for the next week of what's going on at the Idaho Freedom Foundation and in Idaho politics and governance overall. So anyway, I just have three things to talk about for this first Ron's Wednesday Windup. And the first one has to do with a bit of research that we published in the last week. Our policy director, Rachel Hazlip, went through in a very detailed way what we were able to accomplish with getting an employee health benefit for state employees removed that was actually brought about in a very sketchy way. Back in 2021, a committee on insurance for state employees voted to include GLP-1 weight loss drugs as part of an employee benefit. And back then in 2021, this committee estimated the cost of this per year would be $10,000. Now notice I said $10,000. I didn't say $10 million. I said $10,000 was the estimate for providing this new benefit, the weight loss drugs. Well, it turns out in just a few years, that cost has ballooned dramatically. For example, in 2025 alone, it's estimated to cost about $25 million. And ongoing for the next few years, it would be $30 million to $50 million ongoing. That was shocking to find out. Also shocking to find out about that was the fact that this was decided by a committee. It wasn't through an appropriation process. It wasn't even approved by the legislature. It was a committee deciding to provide this new benefit. So Senator Glenita Zeiderveld and our policy director and our policy team got together and said, well, what's going on with this? They wrote a letter to the director of the state insurance program, and within 24 hours, he said that they are canceling that benefit as of November 1st. And we're wondering what would happen if nobody like us asked that question. Nobody like us actually found this out and exposed it. But within 24 hours, they decided to can that program. So the reason why I bring this up is that Idaho Freedom Foundation, with our policy team who's been doing excellent work on exposing corruption, malfeasance, overspending, waste, fraud, and abuse, saved Idaho another $30 to $50 million a year. Now, $50 million sounds like a drop in the bucket for the state budget. Unfortunately, it is. But for the average Idahoan, $50 million, well, there's 2 million folks in Idaho. $50 million is $25 a person. A family of 4, we just saved you all $100. And this is on top of the $36 million of misappropriated child care grants, $1 million at Bannock. We're just finding this waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere. We've proposed $2.1 billion of savings to the DOGE committee by getting rid of overbloated programs, wasteful programs, unnecessary government programs. And so more savings to come, but proper recognition goes to Rachel Hazlip, Senator Glenita Zeiderveld, our legislative affairs consultant, Fred Birnbaum here at the Freedom Foundation. All did excellent work to bring about that change. Great stuff going on from Idaho Freedom Foundation, saving you money. There's two other juicy items here. Let's do school choice first. Did you know that there is a group out there in Idaho made up of educators and friends of public education who are challenging Idaho's new school choice education tax credit? They are saying it's unconstitutional in some way to let parents who are educating their kids outside the public education system for getting a tax credit instead of having to really double pay for education, to pay taxes into the education system and then pay tuition for their kids to go to a private school. That's double paying for one education. So the tax credit doesn't even make up for all of it. It just says, look, if you've taken your kids out of public school and taken that burden off of Idaho public education, then you can receive a credit on your taxes up to $5,000 a person. Well, it's being challenged as being unconstitutional because Idaho's constitution has a thing called the Blaine Amendment, which says that no public money shall be transferred to private institutions that are of a religious nature. Well, our legislative affairs director, Samuel Lair, who is a PhD candidate from Hillsdale, has looked into this, looked at the laws on it, and has come to the great conclusion that emphatically the law is constitutional. That first of all, the Blaine Amendment was essentially made moot by Espinoza versus Montana public schools, in that Blaine amendments were just an unfair discrimination against religious institutions. Public monies go to religious hospitals all the time. But beyond that, Sam does the extra diligence of work and points out that a tax credit is not a transfer to another institution. It's letting people keep more of their earned money instead of paying it in taxes. This is not a transfer to a private institution at all. It's individuals keeping more of their hard-earned money. And so by that reasoning alone, it doesn't violate a Blaine Amendment either, because it's not a transfer to a private institution. There's lots of examples where we get tax credits for things, and it doesn't matter how we use that tax credit, it doesn't violate the Constitution. So go to Idaho Freedom Foundation, look at our research page, and you can see Samuel Lair's great article on the constitutionality of the education tax credit in Idaho. Great stuff there. The last juicy item I want to put in my first edition of Ron's Wednesday Windup is Boise City. You got to go to Idaho Freedom Foundation on our Facebook page. Look at the latest video we've posted. It is a trio at the Idaho Department of Planning and Development, a trio doing a musical number.
There is a flower within my heart, Daisy, Daisy.
They've got a guitar. They're singing about Daisy on a bicycle built for two or something like that. They are singing during business hours while taxpayers are waiting for public services, waiting to get a building permit. They're having a musical break right there in the offices of planning and development. Stunning video of what your state employees are doing on the taxpayer dollar. Now, this is the same Boise City that voted to increase property taxes by $14.1 million just this past summer. $14.1 million tax increase. That's a 7.6% increase in taxes. This is also the same city where its city council and mayor voted for 9% pay increases for themselves just this last January. They want more and more from the taxpayer while they're doing less and less. This is the same city that is disobeying Idaho law about flying flags that are not state flags and instead flying the pride flag as well. There's a law against that. This is the same city whose school district decided to raise property taxes by $30.4 million, going from $126 to $156.4 million. That is a 24% increase in the property tax bill for Boise, Idaho citizens right there. So you have the city raising taxes $14 million, the school district raising taxes by $30 million. You have city employees getting pay raises, and then they're taking time to do a musical break during the day. And I'm told, I saw in the comments, that this isn't the only time they've done that. This isn't a one-off. They do this regularly while patrons are waiting in the lobby. So we have a lot more work to do. I encourage you to go to the IFF website. It's idahofreedom.org, idahofreedom.org. And you can also see our legislative agenda for the coming year. The Freedom and Family Agenda was posted just this last week, and you can see what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to cut taxes. We are going to cut government spending. We're going to protect Idaho's sovereignty from illegal immigration and from federal land grabs. We're going to continue to promote educational choice. We're going to promote health freedom and sound money issues. There is a lot for us to be working on in Idaho. Yeah, it's a red state. It's supposed to be a free state, but our legislators our governor do not reflect the wishes of the citizens. That's why Idaho Freedom Foundation is essential to being the watchdog, to watching out for your tax dollars, to watching out for waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And Ron's Wednesday windup will be your weekly chance to get a rundown of what's going on. So instead of being on the radio, it's just much easier to grab at your convenience whenever you want to. Got to go walk your dog, just put in the earbuds, or on your drive to work. It's a pleasure to bring these things to you. Sometimes it's a displeasure, but we are going to make Idaho great again, if that's a word. And I'm just happy to be here and introduce this new segment, Ron's Wednesday Windup. And I'm Ron Nate, president of Idaho Freedom Foundation, signing off. Peace out, my friends.